Okay, great. Thanks. And do we have, is Roy on the call?
I don't believe
That's
Roy is
okay.
on call, but
We
you
can
can
get
go ahead
started.
and get to the
Yeah.
session.
Okay, so welcome to today's training for the Green IT Naturgy Candela platform. And so just a brief introduction or overview. The Radian Green IT web app, its application is a web app delivered by Radian Generation. And the application is established as a system of truth for the Naturgy Candela contractual compliance, land management, and landowner payments. The systems that we will review today include the user interface, navigation, risk management, milestones, land control, and payments. Just a brief background about Radian. Radian is an independent service provider focused exclusively on the clean energy industry. And we help owners, operators, and developers with a wide range of services, including software and automation, asset management, regulatory compliance, and cybersecurity. Radian slash Green IT contracted with Naturgy slash Candela in 2022. And we're now delivering the production system and providing training on the initial deliverables. Today, we're going to focus on a 101 training covering risk management and land. So in this session, we'll review the core data, features, and responsibilities within the application. So some of the basics. This is a web application, and you can access it using a standard web browser. The application is hosted on Amazon Web Services, and the Green IT platform is built upon a role-based workspace. So that means each user who has access to the system is assigned a role, and each role has specific permissions enabling read and read/write access across the software interfaces. So let's jump into the user interface. And as I'm going, yeah, so question, yeah.
Hold on a second, Clay. Yeah, Jeff, did you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. As far as the content you mentioned, is you're going to focus on land, contract compliance. We also have interconnection agreements that we expect to get into to Green IT. Are you going to cover that in the training as well?
Yes, I think that will be part of the risk management and compliance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Sure thing. Yeah, please. I like to get interrupted with questions as we're going, so please feel free. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat or any raised hands as we go along, or just feel free to interrupt me as we're going. Okay, so the user interface, you all should have received credentials for logging in. And when you log in, you'll land on what we call the global map. You'll notice in the top right, there's a welcome message that will display your name or your user's name. And you can always click on your name if you need to change your password in here. And there's also a, to the right of your name, there's a little handshake icon that is for compliance items, and will show you a filtered list of compliance items that are assigned to you. So you can see specific items that you're responsible for. I'll just pull that up. I don't have anything assigned to me in the system, but there would be a table here showing that compliance items. We'll get into the compliance table more in depth in just a moment. And then there's also the log out ability here as well. All right, so in this interface, there's the main navigation menu is available in the top left. And the first option is going to be the portfolio nav. And we can see all of the projects that are available in the system, and we can navigate into those projects from here. And but before we go into a project, I just want to show you some more of the details available on the global map. So right now, we're looking at the map view. I'm not seeing any project pins in here. We might not have lat long set up for the projects, but that is available to display projects directly on here. Let's flip over to the grid view. And this is a table with the projects, and then we can see some of the information about the projects here, where they're located, the technology type, what project status they're in, and some other vitals such as AC, DC size, and so forth.
Excuse me,
Yes.
my screen is black. I'm not seeing anything.
And you can't see my screen? Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
I can see your screen.
Yeah, it looks fine from
I'll
here.
I'll go out and enter again.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
thanks. All right. And let's see. Okay, and we can also navigate. So we have the ability to search here for any of the information on this table, and you can also navigate into a project directly from here as from the grid view. Flip back to the map, and we'll take a look at portfolio. All right, so let's go into a project. I'll just open up 7V Solar Ranch here. Click on that and navigate into a project. So all of the projects are going to have a similar layout here. And on the when you're within a project, there are different modules that are available. So modules are categories. These categories are acquisition, land, interconnect. So these are going to represent different aspects of the project and provide a way to organize data within these different categories. Then we have the project name, and we can see which of the project categories we're looking at. So by default, we were in the project overview category or module. And then below the project name, there are certain tabs that are available. I'm logged in as an administrator, so there might be some features here on screen that aren't available to you. But you're going to see a similar interface as this. And the tabs here are going to be specific to the category that you're looking at. And many of the tabs such as compliance are going to be available across all of the different categories. So again, these different categories are just different ways of breaking down the data in terms of organizing it, but the tools that are available within each category are going to be similar, except for certain categories are going to have more robust tool set or additional functionality available, such as land. There's a lot of additional tools available in the land category, for example. All right, so let's just in project overview, if we're on the vitals tab, we can see some of the basic project attributes that are available here. I can flip over to compliance. Compliance is going to be available across all of the different project categories. In project overview, I'm going to see all of the compliance for the entire project. If I go into a specific category, look at interconnect, and we go to compliance. Not seeing anything there. Land is, we'll get into land a little bit later. There's a compliance tab available in land. So every category is going to have compliance available. And let's see. All right. So what is compliance? Let's go a little bit more in depth with compliance. So compliance represents a contractual obligation. This is something that Candela is contractually obligated to fulfill. And let's look at land compliance, although land is kind of its own thing. But I know there was a question about interconnection agreements and compliance. So the interconnection agreements can be seeded as files within Interconnect, and then those agreements can have contractual obligations that can be tracked here. Take just a quick moment to see. Let's try and find something besides land compliance. Okay, permitting in Front Range, Midway. Okay, that's gonna be a better project to look at. So right now we're in 7V Solar Ranch. I'm not seeing a lot of compliance data here, so I'm gonna jump over to a different project, which is going to be Front Range Midway. And so to do that, I can just open up the navigation and scroll down to Front Range Midway, and I'll click on that. And so now we've switched projects, but all the same categories are available and the same tools and features are available within each category. So here we're looking at Front Range Midway. We're on the interconnect category and we're looking at compliance here. So these are all of the compliance items that are available here. And so we can see the status of the compliance item. The compliance items are typically going to be scheduled and will have a due date if they are scheduled. Compliance items can be, their due date, their schedule can be determined by a project milestone, which can represent a date that might not be known, or it can be a future date that might not be known. So if a project, let's open up milestones for a second since we're talking about them. So to view milestones, I just opened up Green Gears and then compliance milestones. So these are the project milestones that are available within the system. So if a compliance item is scheduled based off of PPA COD actual, but that date isn't known yet, the compliance item will sit in the system as unscheduled until a date is captured for this particular milestone. When that date is triggered in the system, any of the compliance items that are associated to that milestone are going to become scheduled. Okay, we're going to get into milestones a little bit more in a moment. What else on compliance items? So compliance item,
Clay,
yes,
can I
please.
ask or interrupt for a second? When
Yeah.
I logged in to my Green IT account, and for Front Range Midway, I don't see the bars at the very top where I'm able to click on interconnect.
Okay, give me just a second.
Uh-huh.
Just a moment. Is anyone else experiencing that issue? Do some.
Yeah, I have the same thing, although I just went to filter and just filtered by interconnection. Seemed to then get to the same place.
Yeah, it might be. Okay. Just a moment. Let's do some live QA here.
Okay, I see that.
Here we go. That would explain it. Okay, Jeff, can you go back into a project and refresh your browser, please?
Yep. And refresh the browser.
Yeah, just reload the page.
Yeah. Huh. No, still don't have those buttons. I see portfolio, features, analytics, admin support, but not the bars below it.
Yeah, I have the same thing.
Yeah, I'm seeing that as well. That's a little frustrating.
Hey Clay,
Yeah.
Job seemed to not be able to see your presentation. Could you try to unshare and share again to see if that works for him?
Oh, okay. Yeah, everyone else seems to be able to see, I think so.
Yeah.
But you know, that okay. I'm ping my colleague real quick.
Now I can see it.
Great.
Great.
Ah.
Good. Okay.
It's great, Joe. Thanks for trying.
I was going out of my mind.
Okay. In the interest of time, I'm just going to keep moving here. I apologize that you're unable to see this. I've got just pinged one of my coworkers to assist and take a look. And in any case, we'll get that result for you as quickly as possible.
I can see it
Yeah.
now.
Um,
I'm okay.
Okay, yeah, we have a separate issue where some users are unable to see these modules at the top, which is just part of the basic functionality here. So,
Clay, while
yeah.
we're waiting for that to get fixed, could you just show how, I think James mentioned how to use the filter button? I think the one over on the on the left where it says show filter. Could you just show us how to, say if someone's trying to search for the interconnection document
Right.
there?
Yeah. So if you're in front range midway, you'll be able to open up show filter and
I just clicked on interconnect on the left there
yeah, thank you. Okay.
and then submit. That seemed to work. Get in
All
the same
right.
place at least.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so continuing with compliance items. Compliance items are going to have a reference section. This is going to this references the section within the agreement that where this compliance item comes from, description of what needs to occur, the trigger for this task, and if there is a payment, who the recipient is going to be for that payment. Okay, I want to show you how to create a compliance item. And just set up a test project. And let's say we're in interconnect and we're looking at compliance. And so if you want to add new compliance, there's on the right here in green gears, there's an option called files. So this is a precursor for adding adding compliance items. We need to have a group within the category of what type, for the agreement. So I can set up an interconnection agreement group, and then this interconnection agreement, I could load files in here, and I'm going to set up the calendar for this agreement term. And so we'll just say that this is going to run from today, and it's going to be a 5-year agreement. And so this is setting up the framework for the time period that compliance items are going to exist in. And this needs to be configured before we can add compliance items. Once that is set up, for example, in interconnect, then I won't have to adjust that going forward. So to add a new compliance item, I'll select the Add New button here. And now my group is available that I just configured this interconnection agreement. And there can be an assignee. So we don't have project team roles configured yet, but there can be project team roles can have assignees. So you can assign a compliance item directly to a user, or it could be assigned to a project team role. And if a compliance item is assigned to a project team role, that team role assignee could change, and the compliance item will maintain its assignee, or it could be assigned directly to a user. And just have this be assigned to Jeff. All right, so let's just set up there's a lot of different data points that can be captured for compliance items. They're not all required. We'll just set up a straightforward kind of basic compliance item right now. So I'm going to skip over a lot of these options here. And then this is where we'll set up a schedule for the compliance item. So if we want our compliance item to be based on a schedule, then we can just choose when the compliance item is going to be due. So the effective date here is going to be based off of the group term that we set up for the interconnection agreement. So that was starting today for a 5-year term. We could use that. The compliance item can be scheduled based off of a project milestone, or just an arbitrary date. So, and I'll just point out, so we have the option to schedule this compliance item to any of these project milestones, but none of these project milestones have been triggered yet. So if the project milestone isn't triggered, this compliance item would technically be unscheduled until that milestone becomes triggered. I guess we could show that as well too. So like, let's say this was going to start based off of construction commencement project milestone, and maybe we want it to have a 30-day offset. This is going to be due 30 days after the commencement of construction. And recurrence, so there's a lot of built-in options for recurrence. Let's say this is going to be a annual recurrence, but we want it to recur on the milestone anniversary. So alternatively, it could just be an annual recurrence, and then it would be every Jan 1. But let's use annual milestone anniversary, and we want it to repeat for the entire duration, which we set as 5 years. Could also have a milestone that's going to be the end of this string of compliance items. So it could be maybe a different, maybe PPA COD. This is if that occurs within 5 years of the beginning of construction, then once the project hits operations, we want this compliance item to end. And go to the next option here. So we can choose what phase this is related to. It's related to construction. This is going to be the reference section in the agreement, and the description is just put in construction contractual obligation. Right, and keep task trigger blank. Leave these other options blank here. Save and next. This is for the delivery or recipient of this contractual obligation. So if there were payments or something coming out of here, we could choose a recipient from the contact database in the system. We'll just leave this blank for now. And save and close. Okay, so I've created my compliance item. By default, the compliance item is going to start at draft. I can make it active by clicking on the status and select active, say yes. Okay, so now we have this compliance item in here. I'll just point out that technically this isn't scheduled yet. So you can see in the scheduler field for milestone start, it says based off of this project milestone, but we haven't triggered that project milestone yet. If I navigate away and then navigate back, and we're looking at compliance, we can say, like, why isn't this compliance showing up? Well, by default, the compliance tables are only going to show active and scheduled items, but this particular item is not scheduled yet. So I can filter, this is that filter we're looking at, filter for active, and we'll do scheduled and non-scheduled. And so here's our compliance item. And now I'll show you what this would look like if we trigger this milestone. So if I open up the green gears and the star represents compliance milestones, and in the milestone list, you'll notice that there's now a yellow dot next to construction commencement actual, and that indicates that there are compliance items that are associated to this milestone. So if I were to trigger this milestone, these compliance items are going to become scheduled. And so let's say I know that construction is going to start next month on the 8th. And so I'll trigger this milestone. And this is just saying it's going to take a moment to generate the associated compliance items. Say yes, and we'll let that work. And there we go. And so now we have a green dot, and this shows that there are active scheduled compliance items associated to this project milestone. And so if we load compliance, now we see we have our annually recurring compliance item that is going to occur for the duration of the agreement term that we specified, and this is recurring on the anniversary of this project milestone date. If and then to let's say this first one, maybe this already happened, and we need to we'll mark it complete, so we can say when we made it complete, and select go. We want to change, we're marking just this one complete. So say, change this one, and now it's complete. And so again, just to show you, I'll flip over to another module and back. Okay. All right. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. So now when we load this, we see the next compliance item is going to be for next year. We don't see the completed item, and that's because this table is only showing active scheduled items, but we could see active and complete here. And so now we can see what's done. All right. So I'm going to try to keep moving quickly here. We still have a lot of ground to cover. Let's see, scheduled, completing, reassigning. So maybe we want to reassign this item. We don't want it to be assigned to Jeff anymore. We can just open it up and we'll assign it to Harry instead. And we want to change all associated. So going forward, we want everything to be assigned to Harry, and we'll save and close. And now, so we can see the first one was done by Jeff, but going forward, all the future items will be for Harry. And I'll just point out that there's an email alert system for the compliance items. So if you have something that's coming up, it's going to be due in, I think it's 2 weeks and 7 days and 3 days. And then if you have anything overdue, you'll be getting email alerts about your upcoming and overdue compliance items that are assigned to you. All right, and so we looked at compliance filter. And so I'll just point out that if we go back to project overview and we go to the compliance tab, here we'll see interconnect, and we would see any of the other compliance items from any of the other categories would be available in project overview. All right, a little bit about this green gears. Whenever you're in a project, you'll have these green gears available on the right-hand side of your screen, and there's a calendar, the files. This is what we looked at. So these are going to be the agreements, and you really need to be within one of the categories to see the files that are available there. So we seeded an agreement in the files for interconnect in this project, and that's available here. Compliance milestones, we already looked at that. Okay, and so let's say construction commencement, maybe something happened and it's really not going to be on April 8th. We need to change this, so we could untrigger this, and maybe we really want it to be on May 8th instead. So trigger that, and we get a message about compliance items that will be updated. Say yes. And so that does its thing. And now we look at compliance, and oh yeah, we had a 30-day offset here. Is that what's happening? And so our compliance items have been rescheduled. Okay, land. For land, let's go back to 7V solar. I know I saw some data in there. So in the land category, you'll notice that there are many more tabs that are available within this category. And that is because there's more data that's going to be tracked that's related to land. And so we have more tools and features available for providing visibility on all of that data. There are 3 fundamental pieces of land data. It's going to be the land parcels, land contacts, so like landowners, and the land agreements. So let's look at the parcels first. And so a land parcel, or an APN, is the parcel of land. There's the APN number, and a parcel of land has an area represented in acres. And the APNs can have different statuses. So we're looking at, in this particular project, for these parcels, all of these parcels are status signed. So that represents that these land parcels pertain to land agreements that are executed. So the land is considered status signed. We can see some of the other data points available in this table. Most tables within Green IT, you're going to have a filter available. So we could filter if there were other parcels in here at different statuses. We could filter by status. There's also a search bar available above the table. And typically, most tables are going to have the ability to export the data to an Excel file. So you could run a filter and then do an export and offload this data into an Excel file. Okay, so that's the first piece of land data is going to be the representation of the land itself, the APN. The next piece will be the land owners. So I just moved over to the contact list that's available within the land category. And these are all of the landowner contacts that exist in this particular project. And the contact list is going to show one landowner per row, and we can see which entity they pertain to. If there are any agreements in that entity, we can see which agreements relate to that landowner, as well as the parcel and contact information for that landowner. This is just one representation of the contact information available. We're filtering within land, and on the contact list, we are filtering for contacts that are type landowner and pertain to this project. Just to take a quick step back from the features menu, there's a contacts option and a contact list. This is going to be the global list of all contacts for all different types that are available within the system. When we're in this project and we're looking at land, we're only interested in seeing the landowners for this project. But at any time from the global contact list, you have the ability to find any of the contacts within the system. So including internal contacts. So these represent the internal users within the system. They're also going to have a contact profile within the system. Okay, let's stay focused on land and keep moving. The other piece of land data that is being tracked are the agreements. So an agreement is signed with the landowner for a particular parcel. And within this project, we can see all of the agreements, and we can also see what status they're at. So all of these agreements are executed and recorded. And we can see which parcel they pertain to. We can also see what type of agreement they are. There's a land control workflow in place for requesting agreements and then tracking the progress of that agreement request through the process of getting that agreement signed and executed. I'm not going to go into details of the workflow just yet. I want to talk about a concept of land entities. So we've been reviewing these three different types of land data. There's the land parcel, the land owner, and the agreement. In Green IT, we bring those three pieces of data together and we organize them in what we call land entities. A land entity is, you can think of it like a folder if this were a filing system and we had all this data in the filing system, there would be a folder that would contain the information about the land parcel, the landowner, and the land agreement. So we can name these entities, or they're going to represent the landowner. So typically it's going to be the landowner name. And this Land Entities tab, this is a great way to have an overview of all of the land data that's available within a particular project. So here we can see the entity name, the parcels that are in each entity, acreage, and any agreements and the agreement statuses. Again, we can search here. You can also filter. If there were if there was a lot of land in a particular project. So let's all right. So let's go. I really like the land entities tab for if you know that you're working in a particular project and you're looking for a certain parcel, but you don't know which landowner it pertains to. You can find the project. You go to land. You can go to land entities, and you can search for the parcel name, and then you're going to find which entity it's in. At that point, you can go into the entity by selecting the entity name. Okay, so we're still in 7B Solar Ranch, and we just opened up the Britt Seiler land entity. Within this interface, there are different tabs that are available. The first one is landowners. This is where the landowners are configured within the entity. Each entity will have a unique landowner configuration. A certain landowner can exist in multiple land entities if they own different parcels. So let's say that Britt Seiler, they're 100% owner of these parcels, but maybe they own other parcels with their family or siblings or spouse, and those other parcels might have a different landowner configuration. But so one landowner can exist in multiple entities. A parcel of land can only exist in one entity at a time because a parcel has a unique and defined landowner configuration. So you can't have two different landowner ownerships on the same parcel of land. And the land agreements are going to be specific to the parcel that's in a particular entity. So one landowner could own many different parcels in multiple entities and have multiple agreements signed. But each of those agreements is going to be specific to a parcel of land, and that parcel of land has its own unique landowner configuration. Okay, so this is the next tab in the land entity. This is another agreement tracker, the same as the project level agreement tracker. This is where agreements can be requested. If there's an agreement that's been requested and it's moving through the workflow, you would interact with moving that request through the workflow from an agreement tracker. So right now we're looking at the agreement tracker for this entity in this project. There's also from features, land, agreement tracker. This is going to be the global agreement tracker. So these are all of the agreements across all of the projects. Again, there's a filter here. By default, executed and recorded is not displayed on the global agreement tracker, but we can filter for those. And so here we could see everything that's been executed or executed and recorded across all of the projects. And all right. All right, so there's an APN master list is available within the entity, so we're only looking at the parcels that are specific to this entity. There's also a compliance tab that's available at the entity level. This is going to show the land payments that are due based off of the agreement. So the land agreement is going to have payment terms It's going to have a duration, specified duration. There's going to be payment terms, and then those payments are going to be scheduled based off of the effective date of the agreement, or potentially scheduled by a project milestone. So this is like these are still compliance items, but these are specific compliance items for land agreements. So these are going to represent payments of payment obligations. And we can see that all of these payments are going to Britt Seiler, because Britt Seiler is defined as the payment, has 100% payment rights on this land. So any payments that are due based off of this is a lease agreement, are going to go to Brit. But there could be multiple landowners here. Maybe they're getting payments split 50-50 or however. And then when the payments are generated, they'll automatically be generated based off of the payment percentage rights. Okay. Moving along. Without getting too much in the details of the land control workflow, the idea is that an agreement is requested, it moves through the different steps that are required to execute an agreement. When that agreement achieves execution, an effective date will be captured and payments are going to be generated. So you can only have payments from a executed or signed agreement. Okay. What else do we have? We're bumping up against the end of the hour. We started a few moments late. I can stay a few minutes late as well, but I do want to be respectful of your time. And we're almost through the agenda. So the last thing that I want to show you is Payment Manager. So I got here from the Features menu, Payment Manager. I'll just point out that within the project, so all of these different projects have project-specific data. That's in the Portfolio navigation menu. In the Features navigation menu, the tools that are available here are going to be tools that interact with data across the entire portfolio. So from Features, Payment Manager, we're dropped off here. This interface is specific for accounts payable, or the payment, the users that are responsible for land agreement payments. So land agreement payments are a specific type or subset of compliance items. Within this interface, we only have visibility on compliance items that are land-based compliance items that have an associated payment that's greater than $0. So that's what we're looking at here. There are different tabs that are available within Payment Manager. Open commitments. These are unpaid or unfulfilled compliance items, so land agreement, contractual obligations with payments that are active and open and have not been paid yet. Additionally, open commitments is only going to show payments that have not been put into a payment collection, which okay, yeah, all right. So we're going to talk briefly about payment collections. Payment collections are just ways to organize payments to get them ready for processing. So if you know that you want to grab everything that's due, by default, this is going to show everything for the next 30 days. So let's see if there's anything for 7V Solar. Okay, so if we're looking at 7V Solar, this is what's due in the next 30 days. There's only one payment here. We can put this payment into a collection. I'll just be able to get this out of here. But I'll just show you how this would work. So we've filtered for this particular payment. It's selected here. We're going to make a new collection. It's going to be a draft, and we'll put this payment into this collection. The payment is no longer going to be available on open commitments because we've already put it into a collection. So the concept of open commitments is we're organizing payments, preparing for processing or paying those payments, and we want to put them together in a group of payments that we know that are going to be processed at the same time. So this is for organizing your payments into collections. Once you have a collection that's in draft, you could always add more payments to it, or you could go to draft. We go into the collection, and we can see this payment. We decide we want to get this payment out of here. Before I do that, so there's different phases of moving a collection. Once you prepare a batch of payments in a collection that's at draft, you could move that collection forward. You could get it ready for review. There's a level of review that occurs, so payments within collections in order to be processed can be approved. So there can be like a second level of approval that's required for the payments to move forward. Once all of the payments in the collection have passed the second level of approval, the collection would move to in process, where payments are being made. Once all of those payments in that collection have been marked paid, the collection will automatically move to archive. A really powerful, useful tool in Payment Manager is payment lookup. If you're looking for a payment, this is where you can find it. So let's say we want to just see everything that's due from today going forward for all of time for 7V Solar Ranch, and we'll select that. And so this is everything that's coming up for 7V Solar. We can see what entity the payment is in, the agreement that it's associated to, the parcels, got the payment status. So we could find paid or unpaid payments here. We can see who the recipient is, when it's due, the amount. Can also see that one of these payments, which we just put in this collection, is in this collection. And then we could just navigate directly to that collection. Don't actually want this in here, so I'll remove or exclude. So my collection is at status draft, so I can change the payments that are available in here. I'm going to exclude this payment. My collection is now empty, and I'll just delete this collection, empty collection. And now the payment has been restored back to open commitments because it's no longer in a collection. All right. Any questions? I'll just point out, let's see. So agreements are going to have a duration. That duration's captured in the system, and so you can track when agreements are going to be expiring. If anything is coming up for expiration, there's a tool for that. You can see things that are have already expired or expiring within 30, 90, 180, or 365 days. If something expires, the payment obligations are going to be automatically removed. The agreement is no longer valid. And there are more tools available for tracking and maintaining all this land data. We're running out of time for what we can cover today. I want to point out that there are a few different ways that you can get in touch with us. for whatever support reasons or anything that comes up. So within the application, there is not showing up. Take a look at that. Should be a way to request a ticket from within support. I'll make a note about that. You can always get in touch via email. You should have our email from the login credentials that were sent to you, but I'm going to put the support email into the chat so you have that. Please feel free to reach out about any questions or concerns that you have. There's the support email. It's probably the best way to get in touch with us. It's going to be via email. We do have a phone available as well, and I'll put our 800 number in the chat so you have that.
Did the login credentials go to the consultants as well? I don't recall seeing them.
I don't have the most perspective on the recipients of credentials. Did you not receive credentials?
So I don't believe so, but I'll have to go back and look.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a consultant and I did receive credentials.
You did?
Okay. I can take a quick look for you, Jack. Should have received on the 27th.
Okay, let me check.
Yeah, February.
Oh, support green IT.
That's right.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right, well, we've recorded today's session and we'll be posting that to the support video tutorials section. So you have access to that. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to support if you need any help with anything. We're also can be available to schedule more in-depth trainings as needed. So realizing that we covered a lot of ground today and stayed pretty high level. So if you want to go in more depth with anything, we'd be happy to assist with that as well. So thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Clay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Clay. Thank you, everyone.